Hi everyone. Welcome to Secrets Behind the Stars. All the details are in our video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share our video before continuing. Thank you very much. On New Year's Eve, a single post from Elçin Sanga lit up the entertainment world, and it wasn't just the twinkling lights behind her that caught attention. For a long time, Elçin has kept her private life carefully tucked away, drawing a clear boundary between the stage and the sofa. But this time, she shared an image so poised, so assured, that fans and columnists alike read it as the start of something new. And the moment the photo appeared, all eyes slid, almost by reflex, toward Barış's Arctic. The whispers grew into a low roar. Had something fundamental shifted? Was this the hard break no one expected, yet everyone sensed? It was a simple New Year's photo on the surface, Elçin looking serene, that distinctive confidence in her posture, the kind of glow you can't fake. The caption was restrained, suggestive more than explanatory. Within minutes, the post was showered with likes and comments, and the conversation spread everywhere. People analyzed the angle, the tone, even the light. Many decided that the message was obvious: the past is closed. Some called it a quiet reset, a veiled declaration that a page had turned. And that was enough to send speculation about Elçin and Barış into overdrive, pushing the narrative from rumor to near certainty. According to insiders and gossip veterans, the post held meaning that went well beyond a festive greeting. They say it drew a line under months of ambiguity, of measured silence and carefully chosen words. Through this single polished frame, Elçin closed the door she had, for a while, left slightly open. The absence of a response from Barış only sharpened the moment. When he didn't comment, didn't like, didn't even place a discreet dot that fans could screenshot, a chorus grew on social media. Silence is also an answer. And with that, the discussion leapt to a new level. Fans of the duo split into camps. Some insisted that it's normal for a woman to share her happiness without decoding the private implications for a relationship that has always been treated with dignity. Others believed the post was too precise, too calculated to be casual. They pointed to the timing, New Year's Eve, a hinge between what was and what will be, as proof of intent. Did she pick that night to send her clearest message yet to Barış? The idea gained traction, appearing in columns and comment sections as if it had been echoed behind closed doors. It's no secret that Elçin usually sidesteps personal questions. In earlier interviews, she made it plain: she doesn't owe the world every corner of her life. That measured stance lent her a mystique, an autonomy people admire. But this time felt different. With one poised image, she seemed to choose clarity, if not in words then in energy. It read like a vow to move forward, arms open to a new chapter without explaining the final paragraphs of the last one. Meanwhile, Barış waited, or seemed to. Maybe he was gathering his thoughts, or maybe he decided there was nothing to add. Whether he will respond remains a tight-lipped mystery, and those near him either won't speak or don't know. For now, conversation keeps circling the same orbit. That singular New Year's photo and the tidal wave it created. It appears this one post will outlive the fireworks, echoing through the months as developments rise and fall around it. In the days after the photo, Elçin's feed took on a vibrant pulse. She shared images that looked brighter, firmer in tone, underscoring a sense of renewal. The confidence felt unforced, the smile steady rather than staged. Followers repeated a phrase again and again: a new beginning. They admired that she appeared to have started the year on her own but standing strong, as though she'd collected the scattered pieces of the past and placed them where they no longer hurt. The flood of supportive messages spoke volumes about the connection between her and those who've watched her for years, on screen and off. At the same time, a fresh rumor made the rounds. Word had it that Elçin was redirecting her focus, steering her energy toward her craft, her projects, her voice. Some claimed she was already in talks for new ventures, scripts that would let her color outside old lines. Whispers said she'd put her private life aside, not out of bitterness but out of intention, choosing work as the compass. Those tracking the story said Barış called it unexpected, at least in private, if he said anything at all. And as her stance grew clearer, whispers of a clean break picked up speed. The lack of any statement from him hung in the air like a pause that meant more than words. What added nuance were the quiet notes from people supposedly close to her. They suggested that Elçin wanted to release old resentments, the kind you carry without noticing until you're tired of the weight. New Year's, they said, was her chosen doorway out. That photo, they claimed, wasn't a fashion shot, it was a farewell, a sign that the chapters tied to uncertainty had been left behind. A silent but highly effective message, that's how it was described in certain corners, a final bow without burning the stage. Naturally, the spotlight swung and stayed on her. Every gesture seemed to carry layered meaning now. Would she address the speculations directly? Would she grant an interview that clarifies more than it complicates? Or would she let the image speak a language only time could translate? People waited for the next angle, the next caption. For the moment, one truth seemed fixed, a single photo shifted the ground, and Elçin would be the pivot point of conversation for weeks, perhaps longer. Her chosen quiet has been read as a resolute response. Even as the noise grew, she didn't issue a statement or push back against the commentary. That restraint felt deliberate, a matured reflex rather than indecision. On social media, a narrative took root. She wasn't looking over her shoulder anymore. She was facing forward, intent on new goals. Plenty found that inspiring, proof, they said, that reinvention doesn't need permission. On the other side, uncertainty lingered for Barış. Leaks from his circle painted him as surprised by the velocity of the reaction, as if the swell of sentiment caught him off guard. Some suggested he expected a more muted response, a softer ripple instead of a wave. Instead, he chose silence, and that silence has been read as the hardest blow. The idea of the two being linked anew in the same hopeful phrases, the ones fans have used for years, seemed to dim. Not gone, just less likely with each quiet day. These turns placed Elçin under a spotlight that felt different from the one on a set. She was talked about not just for her artistry but for the strength in refusing to dramatize real life. Her admirers framed it as self-discovery rather than heartbreak, a reckoning with what she wants and what she won't compromise. And the rumor mill kept spinning a companion story, that the changes touched her career as much as her personal life. The photo, it was said, would keep evolving in meaning as new developments unfolded. The anticipation grew so acute that even her smallest posts drew close readings. A coffee cup, a dog's paw, a window with rain, everything became a clue, a note in a larger symphony of moving on. The saga had already taken its place among the season's hottest topics, and not just because of the personalities involved. It was the restraint that made it compelling, the refusal to shout in a space where shouting is customary. Through it all, her inner circle seemed to stand close by. Colleagues and friends dropped subtle likes, left gentle words that didn't name names, but everyone understood the subtext. People began murmuring that she had a solid team at her back, a quiet choir humming in harmony. The result was a portrait of high spirits rather than hidden tears. Reports hinted that she spent the first days of the year mostly on her own terms, lean mornings, long walks, a few pages of a script, a stretch of music. A small ritual of renewal. If you listened closely, you could hear how the narrative matured day by day. The early shock gave way to curiosity, then to acceptance. The fixation on labels, together, apart, on a break, felt blunter than the layered reality the two have always embodied. What persisted was the sense that her decision was conscious, that she had weighed the variables and chosen a path that would let her breathe. And while he stayed quiet, the world filled in the blanks for him, as it always does, rightly or wrongly. Those who remember their luminous on-screen chemistry now talk about grace rather than nostalgia. They note how rare it is to exit a chapter without making a spectacle of the closing. And they point out that the woman who once declared she didn't owe anyone a map is still living by that principle, only now she's underlining it with action instead of sentences. As a result, the narrative no longer feels like a breakup story. It reads like a reckoning with self, a recalibration that doesn't require permission slips, public votes, or a press conference. Work, unsurprisingly, looms as the next big headline. If the whispers are true, there are scripts stacked on a table, roles that flex new muscles, stories with edges that fit her evolving profile. She's allegedly sitting in meetings where the talk is brave and specific. What do you want to say now? Where do you want to push? The promise of new projects doesn't erase the personal speculation, but it reframes it. If the story of late has been about endings, the one on deck is about intention. Of course, the people who have followed this pair for years know better than to rush to conclusions. Some are waiting for a joint photo, a sudden like, a filmed moment that says, in one breath, everyone misread this. Others have already moved on, convinced the New Year's post was a period at the end of a long sentence. Both camps keep watching, because the truth is that when two widely admired figures move in silence, the world turns up the volume on everything else. There is also the human layer that gossip rarely sits with, two people navigating a life that belongs, in part, to others. If there's grief, it's private. If there's relief, it's personal. The image that started this storm was many things: stylish, luminous, controlled. But maybe it was also kind, to herself, to the path ahead, even to the memory of what was. Ending a chapter doesn't mean scorched earth. Sometimes it means leaving the lights on for a while so you can see the way out. As this story keeps unfolding, the one consistent note is how measured she remains. No reactive comments. No denial, no confirmation. Just the steady hum of forward motion, work hints, friendly exchanges, healthy routines. Fans write that this discipline is its own message, a blueprint for those who've carried doubts into a new year and decided to set them down. They call it brave because it is, and quiet because it has to be. Meanwhile, the portrait of Barış remains in half-light. Those close to him, or who claim to be, say he didn't foresee the photo's resonance. They say he is weighing words against impact, mindful that every syllable would be dissected. And so he waits. Or perhaps, like her, he has chosen to let the noise burn itself out. Either way, the silence keeps adding meaning to what began as a single frame. If this is indeed the close of a shared story, it isn't written in capital letters. It's punctuated with intention and restraint. And that is why people can't look away. The absence of spectacle invites respect, even from those who came for fireworks. The season's flashiest night gave us a moment that will likely outlast the glitter, an image that keeps reflecting something new each time the light changes. We'll keep watching, because everyone is. Whether a candid exchange emerges, whether a colleague slips a tell in an interview, whether another image arrives with a caption that tips the scale, time will answer. For now, what's certain is that a single New Year's post moved the ground beneath the conversation, and Elçin stands calmly in the center of it, drawing power from the quiet she chose. And however this continues, the tone has been set, dignified, decisive, deeply personal. This brings us to the end of our video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to Secrets Behind the Stars and share the video. Goodbye.